JB Cycles here with an update on September the 17th. Market is still not correlating very well with my 4-week cycle, and at this point we see the cycle is going down into the end of September. I drew two scenarios and this bullish one didn't play out, so we are in this possible bearish scenario where this is a shoulder and we could go down into end of September. This call it, well, shoulder or bear flag formation. I've seen it a few times, and if it's real it could be very bearish. However, this could also be seen as a bull flag and we could have a breakout. We'll come back to that one. As I said, correlation is low with the cycle, but it did go up the last couple of days. I looked at this going back. In periods with low correlation, we have this red curve going down. When correlation has been low, that has often been some kind of a top. Here we went sideways. Here we went kind of sideways, here we went down, here, well, you could argue, well, it wasn't bullish, but you could also argue correlation had been low for a while here. So often a period of low correlation leads to a market top, unless the cycle actually has changed, and it did change back in April 22 and in October 22, but now we have had a stable cycle for almost a year. So let's have a look at wavelets in the daily data. So we are at this point and I'm looking at the yellow wavelet. That's one mostly correlates with the 2-week oscillation, and it looks like we are should be seeing a couple of days with downside. And this very well may be a bullish setup, making this kind of like a bull flag. If we go back into summer last year, we had kind of a similar situation here. It looked like another shoulder and another breakdown coming up, but it was a bullish setup. This was not a shoulder, it was kind of a consolidation or a bull flag, and then we popped up. So looking at my purple wavelet, this point seems too early to be breaking down. There should be more time for bulls here, unless actually this is very bullish and this purple wavelet is finished and it will turn down and we could see a prolonged period of downside. That would seems a bit too bearish to me. Normally here we still have a couple of weeks favoring bulls. So I'm quite uncertain. Like last weekend, looking at the hourly data, this is for the Dow Jones Industrial. I was talking about a possible fake breakout here and we could go down, and that looks to be the case. We have the 2-week oscillation favoring 2-3 days of downside, and that brings us around midweek and the Fed decision. I think that's coming up this week. So looks like should see downside for a couple of days, but then we could have a bullish breakout. We have the 20 and 40 week cycle low. This looks like a cycle low, but there's still room for a late low. We could have another move down here. It's quite possible. But looking at the 7-year cycle, here we have the 7-year cycle. We see it goes up into early 2025. We have the 80-week offset. We are kind of struggling with it, and that's not uncommon. And we could struggle making this a big bull flag, possibly A, B, C consolidation or correction here, and then finally we have the bullish breakout. Very possible. Also, looking at the 3.5 year offset, we see we are in the 3.5 year cycle, we are at the point where we had the COVID crash. I see no COVID crash right now going on, so yeah. It's also interesting to see, going back one cycle, we had some kind of a correction here. Not quite there, but these two lows are at the same point. Here we are a bit kind of shifted, these two lows, these two, these, and now some kind of a low here. So just an observation. Also, I've been talking about expecting this to be a big A, B, C bull market, and comparing with some analogs, we are in the area where we have this possible long period going sideways down with this B wave. But also we have the bull market from 2016 in yellow. That one, or I should say, many bull markets do not have any clear ABC shape. They can be rather linear or complex. But I have a gut feeling this will be a ABC bull market. But that doesn't mean we should expect a lot of downside here. We could go sideways even with higher highs in this period. So into the spring, going mostly sideways before we get the pop-up. So yeah, I forgot about my 3 cycles, and if my program can, there, it's ready. So these 3 cycles, they are all making lows. So we see the composite actually is at the low. So these cycles do not well, going back here, I said I was not comfortable being very bullish because the cycles were going down. But now I have to switch. I'm not comfortable being very bearish here with the cycles going up into November. So that makes me a bit uncertain here with this setup. These 3 cycles, they will allow for a late low here, and we do have the 4-week cycle going down into end of September. So there's still a window for something bearish to happen here, but time is kind of running out in my opinion. So I do not like very much this bearish setup. Also, I do not like to get very bullish until we have reached this cycle low end of September. So I would be careful in this period. Do not get too bearish here, but very short term, the next 2-3 days seem to have a bearish bias. But the Fed decision may end this or give us a capitulation. It may end it, and we could have this bullish breakout. So, like last weekend, not much help here from me this time, but a very short term looks like more downside. But it just may be a big bull flag. So, see ya!